Ches. I'm sorry, not Mem Ches. V'yitn l'cha el ha'alakim tavshin chav ches. It's a mugga maimer. V'yitn l'cha ha'alakim et al shmaim nishmane oretz. The bracha of Yitzchak was that Alakim should give to you from the dew of heaven and from the fats of the earth and the land. V'yidu adik b'zeh. It's known the analysis of this. Harikol brachas Hashem Havaya. All brachas come from the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. How come? The Shem Alakim who midas hadin v'atzimtzum, because Shem Alakim is the mid of Hashem's judgment and severity and constriction. V'abrachas shein yonim hu amshache v'ashbom b'Shem Havaya, and the brachas which their idea is about the drawing down from Hashem and giving a flow from Hashem. That comes from the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and we see an explicit example of where brachas and amshachas come and are associated with Shem Havaya from Birchas Kohanim. U'kamay Birchas Kohanim, for example, the bracha the Kohanim give, Shebachol Gibel Psukim Niskor Shem Havaya. In all three psukim, it says the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. It doesn't say the name Elkim. Yorecha Havaya v'Yishmerecha Yor Havaya Panav Elach v'Chnacha Yisa Hashem Panav Elach v'Yasmach Hashem. All of them the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, because Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is what's associated with brachas. As opposed to that, and this bracha, the pasuk adds the pasuk uses the term that Yitzchak said that Alakim should give you. Why would it be Alakim? Alakim is seemingly not connected with brachas. The Rebbe says, in addition to the well-known diyukim, shediyuk zeh, that by a bracha we say Shem Alakim, is another exception to this rule. And this is also unusual. It's also in the first bracha that Yitzchak received and got after Avraham Avinu passed away. The Chsiv but says by it Vayvarach Alakim es Yitzchak b'nai, that Alakim benched Yitzchak his son. The B'chol HaBracha Sheberech Avram is Avram. In all the brachas that Avram was benched by Hashem, V'gam HaBracha Sheberech es Yitzchak Shalach Lezeh. And also, after that first bracha, after Avram's passing, that Hashem benched Yitzchak, Namar Shem Havaya says Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, except for that initial bracha, the first bracha that Hashem benched Yitzchak after Avram passed away, it used the name Alakim. For this it's indicated the bracha Rishayna Sheberech es Yitzchak Shnar B'Vayvarach Alakim, the first bracha that Hashem benched Yitzchak. That it says Vayvarach Alakim, V'abracha Sheberech Yitzchak V'yitn l'cha Alakim, and the bracha that Yitzchak benched V'yitn l'cha Alakim Shayachas Zelazeh are associated one with the other. Because of that, they both share this common denominator, this unusual usage that in both cases it says the name Alakim, which is the exception to all the other brachas. So his basically continues, we say the point of the explanation in this, according to what's explained with the siddur of that has chassidus on it, on the section on tkiyas, that flow, that which comes down from the level of gvuris, from Hashem's level of might, is greater than the ashpah that comes down from Hashem's kindnesses. So even though in general we associate gvura with withdrawing, withholding, discipline, etc., but in this case, gevura, when gevura is part of the hashpah, so then the aspect that it indicates is the level of might and powerfulness, which is greater than chesed. And he gives an example, or he explains it by the characteristic of when we say the idea of chesed and gevura also in a person. The chesed of a person is in a way, it's cold, it's calmness. Kindness, a person is not, over the top, excited, whatever. The whole idea of kindness is that he's a nice person, a good person, a feeling person. Therefore, by the very nature of that coldness, of that quietude, is l'chein hashpa mehem bagbol. So therefore, he's a nice guy. Nice people, and or a nice reaction, only engenders ashpa that's in a way that's limited, has a limitation to it. So when chesed gives something, the level of kindness gives something, it's a limited giving. As opposed to gvuras, they involve heat, passion, their excitement. That's why gvura is likened to fire, and chesed is likened to water. Because they are fiery, hashpa mehemi b'ofen shel tagboros, when gevura is brought into the mix. The hashpa that comes from gevura is in a way of with might and powerfulness. Until it can be an increase and so great that it will be without a boundary whatsoever. According to this, he explains over there in the Mamarim, which he refers to in the footnotes, specifically Yitzchak said these powerful brachas, from the dew of the heavens and the fats of the land. We don't find such type of powerful brachas, not when it comes to Avraham Avinu, not when it comes to Yaakov. How come? Since Yitzchak, we know, is identified with Gvura. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Avraham is Oyhavi, it's the level of Chesed. He was known for his Gemils, Chasadim, Aknos Zorchim, and so on. Yaakov is the level of Tiferes, Rachamim. Yitzchak is known for Gevura. Well, HaBrachas, the Yitzchak and B'ribui Gadol. When it's Ashpa, when it's a bracha, how does it come out when there's Gevura? Gevura, we said, is the level of heat, of passion, and therefore it comes out in an unbelievable great amount, etc., etc. Now, let's take this back to the initial bracha that Yitzchak got from Hashem when Avraham Avinu was nostalgic. According to this, we can explain what the meaning of the pasuk is when it says that it was after the passing of Avraham, and Elkim specifically, Shem Elkim, benched Yitzchak his son, the Bechaye Avraham, during the lifetime of Avraham, which Avraham was the idea of Bechinas Chesed, Heir Bechinas HaChesed Olamayla. Avraham was a conduit, or exemplified the fact that what was meir in the time of Avraham was the level of kindness, the level of chesed. So therefore, the only type of hashpah that was possible was something that was in line with the chesed hashpah, because that was the system, that was what was meir momayla at that time. Ula achrei mois Avraham, like the pasuk emphasizes, after the passing of Avraham, then the way things ran, including the way things ran, min hashamayim, the hashpos that came from heaven, was following Yitzchak's line, which Yitzchak's line is Gevura. Therefore, nimshchu brachas gvuras l'shem Elakim. So the brachas came down immediately. Once Avraham Avinu passed away, Shem Elakim. Shem brachas nailus yoyser ma brachas hanimshachas machsadim, that these are more powerful and greater brachas than those brachas that come from the level of chesed, of kindness. This is also Shagam Birchas Yitzchak Yaakov Ksiv. This is also the reason why in the bracha of Yitzchak to Yaakov it says, V'yitn l'cha halakim, that halakim will give you, Shashpa tia b'ribui b'takboides, that Ashpa will be in a great amount, in a powerful and an overpowering amount, because that was a type of Ashpa that was during Yitzchak's time, that was exemplified in Yitzchak's midah of Gevurah. Now the Rebbe is going to introduce, after explaining the common denominator between what took place as soon as Avraham Avinu passed away and the bracha of Yitzchak to Yaakov, now he's going to make a distinction between them. That one was building upon the other. One was a further step than the other. The bracha that Yitzchak benched, that the Elekim should give to you. It's a higher bracha than the bracha that the Elekim benched Yitzchak his son. How come? What's the proof to say it's a higher bracha? Maybe the same bracha that Hashem benched Yitzchak, so now Yitzchak imparted that to Yaakov. So he says, no. Shari bracha shen is baruch Yitzchak melekim hoisen im sheches gam lebanav gam im loyhai mevarch. The bracha that Hashem benched Yitzchak immediately after Avram's passing, that would have transferred and been transmitted automatically, even if Yitzchak would never have given a bracha. How do we know that? Rashi explains that Hashem benched Yitzchak his son. The question is, why did Hashem have to come in and bench? Because his father, Avram, did not bench Yitzchak. Why did Avram not bench his son, Yitzchak? So he says, Avram became scared and was fearful to give a bracha to Yitzchak, because he saw in Ruach HaKodesh that Esav would come out of Yitzchak. Amar, so therefore, Avram said, you know what? I'm going to pull back. Yavai Bal HaBrachas. Let the one who is the master of all blessings come. And he'll give a bracha to whomever he approves of. And that's why Hashem came after the passing of Avram. So Hashem came and said, I'm going to bench Yitzchak. So therefore, we see that the bracha, if Avram would have given a bracha to Yitzchak, it would have been automatically transmitted to Esav. That's what he was worried about. So the Mezem Muvim for this understood that just like if Avram would have given a bracha to Yitzchak, so the bracha would have automatically been transmitted to Esav and transferred to Esav, even without Yitzchak explicitly giving him the bracha. By Cain, the same things concerning the bracha that Hashem that Elkim benched Yitzchak. The bracha zunim shechame atzma l'shnei banav gam la'esav. Because we said brachas are automatically transmitted from father to son. So therefore, when Hashem chose to bench Yitzchak on the passing of Avram, that was also automatically transmitted also to Esav, to both of his children. Therefore, if that was automatically transmitted to both of his children, why did Yitzchak need to give a bracha to his children? Whether it was to Esav or to Yaakov, it was automatically there. Therefore, we must say that the bracha that Yitzchak was going to give, and that he did give, went further than the bracha that would have automatically been transmitted from the bracha that Hashem gave Yitzchak. And the bracha that Yitzchak benched, that Elkim should give you from the dew of heaven, etc. He bracha Naos Yoser is a very high bracha. In other words, much more so than the original bracha that Hashem benched Yitzchak on the passing of Avram, even though both of them involved Shem Elakim. And it was to such a degree, so much more powerful. This is also what Yaakov put in extra effort and did many things, not in his manner to receive the brachas. In footnote 11, he brings down from Maimer the Frierdiker Rebbe. First of all, he says that Yaakov was an Ishtam. he was a sincere person, like it says in the pasuk. So for Yaakov to use trickery to give the bracha, to get the bracha, is completely out of character for him. And the Rebbe brings from Maimer the Frierdiker Rebbe in the footnote 11 that to do so for a person of Yaakov's character, that he was a sincere person, to do so is Mesiras Nefesh Mamish, is the actual lashon of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And still in all he did so to be able to receive the brachas. So obviously, this bracha would not have, or this is not the same bracha that would have automatically been transmitted and transferred to him automatically because Hashem benched Yitzchak. This must have been a bracha of a totally different nature, of a totally different level, that was even worth it for him to go through all of that to receive it. Though the bracha of Elekim benching Yitzchak would have come to Yaakov automatically on its own without any of the needs of Yaakov doing all of that to be able to receive it. Why did he feel the need to do so? Because the bracha of Elkim should give to you from the dew of heaven, etc., is much higher than the bracha that Elkim benched Yitzchak. So now the Rebbe has established that, first established a certain common denominator, that they're both Elkim, shows antagboiris. It's a powerful bracha, because that's what was meir during the time of Yitzchak's life, now that Chesed of Avram passed away. But then he established that the brachas of Yitzchak were much more powerful than what he received on the passing of Avram, even though both of them are Shem Elakim. So now what's left to understand is the difference between them. So he says, this will be understood, the difference between these two brachas, by prefacing what's explained in Torah and our Parsha. And many Mamadim, the fact that Yitzchak wanted to bench Esav, though he knew that the name of heaven is not something customarily found in Esav's mouth, meaning that we know that what caused Yitzchak to question Yaakov on his identity, if he's Esav, is because Yaakov said that Hashem helped me and put before me the food so that I should be able, and I was able to bring it sooner. And this sounded strange to Yitzchak. What do you mean, Hashem? Hashem, it's not something that Esav is accustomed to say. The Rebbe in a footnote says that when it says Ein Shem Shemaim Shagru B'fiv, it means at all not. It's not just that he wasn't accustomed. He didn't use it at all, or else it wouldn't have sounded that strange. Okay, this time he happened to express himself that way. So obviously Yitzchak knew very well what his son Esav was. So what's the real reason why Yitzchak wanted to bench Esav? It wasn't because he thought Esav was a tzaddik, that Esav was pulling the wool over Yitzchak's eyes. What was the real reason? So he says, Yitzchak was aware and saw spiritually that in Esav there's very high sparks of Kedusha. As we know, Esav was from the world of Toyu. Toyu was higher than Tikkun, it's Bligvul, etc., etc. So therefore, for that reason, Yitzchak wanted to bench Esav. What's a bracha? A bracha is amshacha from above. Lahamshich olav oir elyon, to draw down upon Esav a very high light, a very high revelation. Through that, the sparks in Esav would become refined and elevated. Chassidus explains that a small flame will become attracted to a large flame. So by bringing a higher revelation in proximity to these sparks of holiness in Esav, Yitzchak was hoping he would be able to be mevarer Esav. That was his plan. That was the reason why he wanted to give Esav these great brachas. So why, in the end, was that not meant to be, that Hashem did not desire it and move things around? So he says there would have been one of two problems that Chassidus explains if Yitzchak would have done it his way. If this light would have come down upon Esav, not through Yaakov, because the Chassidus it explains that eventually Yaakov would be the one to be mevarer Esav, and he is the one that's going to be mevarer Esav, Adasher Yovi Adoni Seira, that will judge the mountain of Esav. But that is a result of the berachas and the oir that he got from Yitzchak. So Yitzchak's oir would eventually, in other words, Yitzchak's plan would eventually happen. Tzadi Goizer, you can't rob Yitzchak of his plan. The oir that Yitzchak was mamshich was going to be mevarer Esav, but it couldn't be mevarer Esav in the way that Yitzchak wanted it, by bypassing Yaakov. It eventually is going through Yaakov, that Yaakov is the one that's being mevarer Esav with the power that Yitzchak empowered him with and imparted upon him. But what would have happened if it wouldn't have gone through Yaakov? So he says, it would have been either one of two situations would have resulted. Either the great revelation of the bracha would have become absorbed and swallowed up in the klippa and would have been lost. The whole light would have gone to waste. And even more so, klippa would have been even more energized. Similar to what we say by Mitzrayim, that Ani v'loi malach, that Hashem himself took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim and not a malach. Why not a malach? So it's brought down because if a malach would have gone down to Mitzrayim, even he would have become absorbed and lost in Mitzrayim. Now, Malach is a power of the Eibishter. It's a spiritual entity. It's not like a human being. And yet, the Tumah of Mitzrayim was so powerful it would have swallowed up the Malach as well. So, in a similar vein, this is one of the possibilities that would have happened if Yitzchak would have directly imparted the brachas, this Gilui Oir, to Esav. The light would have become swallowed up in Esav, and he wouldn't become this barer, which was the purpose of this whole bracha that Yitzchak was going to give to Esav. That's one possibility. Another possibility is shahoisa misbateles mitziyusay, that the being of Esav would have become nizbatel, meaning it would have shattered him. Shattering the Metzias is also not something. The idea of birur is that the thing becomes transformed, not shattered and completely broken. So either the light would have been too powerful for Esav to handle, it would have shattered him, or the light would have become absorbed. And therefore, there should be able to be the refinement of Esav that can only be specifically through Yaakov. Yaakov is the one that's able to act like as a medium, a channel for the birur of Esav. Therefore, Hashem caused the entire situation to move around. That Yitzchak should give the bracha to Yaakov, which Tala Shemayim Mishmania Oretz represents. The dew of heaven and the fats of the land is not just physical brachas, but they represent these great, very high spiritual lights, like he's going to mention in the next part of Maimer what these levels represent. Til Yaakov, these should go to Yaakov, and the Yaakov will be able to use these powers and these energies. Through that, Yaakov will be able to refine the sparks of Esav. And in tomorrow's shir, we'll speak about what specifically are these greater lights that are able to do this.